Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from the fifth group, Dewi Nikmatul Rahmah, Nadia Rahmatul Aulia, and Syahrul Erfa Fahru Riza. We will present about the current teaching method. Types of current teaching method. The first in K13, K13, and then pedagogical approach in K12 or K12, and then curriculum merdeka, and then the last is post-pandemic era.
Inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning encourages learners to search for information by observation and experimentation. Learners will seek answers independently by analyzing, investigating, asking questions, researching, and translating information. Steps to apply inquiry-based learning. First, observing the phenomenon. The teacher presents a picture or video that will be studied in class at the time. This section is the same as the stimulation in discovery learning. Second, asking research questions. Students are asked to innovate asking questions in problem formulations. A problem statement that has independent variables and dependent variables. The independent variable affects the dependent variable, while the dependent variable is affected by one or more independent variables. For example, what is the effect of the type of fertilizer on the growth of chili plants? Free variable is type of fertilizer. Depends variable is chili plant growth. Third, students make hypotheses. Students study several theories in a literature review through books or other sources such as the internet. The hypothesis is in the form of statement from the students, which then processed to the next stage. Fourth, data collecting. Collecting data in groups, same with data collecting in discovery learning, but here in the form of practicum, observation, and research. Practicum procedures can be instructions from teachers or plans from students themselves. Fifth, presentation of results. Students present the results that have been obtained and then the teacher provides feedback on the results obtained by students. And the last, generalization. Students infer learning outcomes. Discovery learning. Discovery learning is the process of understanding a concept from the material actively and independently to then obtain a conclusion. Discovery learning is a learning model that directs students to find their own knowledge to be conveyed in learning. In this method, the teacher doesn't actively explain the material to students. The task of the teacher is only to give a number of questions related to the material. Steps to apply discovery learning. First, stimulation. Present a stimulus at the beginning of learning to provoke student curiosity. Second, problem statement. Raising questions can be from the teacher or from the students, but the teacher must be smart to combine all student questions in one main question that will be the learning goal at the time. Third, data collecting. Collecting data in groups. The data collected is expected to answer the problem statement. Fourth, data processing. After the data is collected, then analyze and interpret the information obtained, after which students answer questions while being monitored by the teacher. Fifth, verification. Students present their answers in front of the class and then verified by the teacher. Last, generalization. Students conclude the learning. Problem-based learning. Problem-based learning, or PBL, is a learning method that introduces students to a case that has a relationship with the material discussed. Students will then be asked to find a solution to solve the case or problem. The goal to be achieved by PBL is the ability of students to think creatively, analytically, systematically, and logically to find alternative problem solving through data explorations as it is. The characteristics of PBL: the problem under study must be completely unknown and somewhat difficult to solve. The teacher should not make up cases, but the case must be related to the student's environment. The solution is open-minded, not about right and wrong, but strength of the student's argument. Project-based learning. Project-based learning, or PGBL, is a learning model that uses real projects or activities as the core of learning. PGBL uses projects or activities as a learning medium, whereas PBL usually starts by observing real problems. The steps of PGBL are: giving essential problems to be solved by the project, students design projects, activity plans, teachers ask students to report the result of the plan, and the team implements the project. And the last, project evaluation is presented and then evaluated whether the project can solve the problem at the beginning. STEM in PGBL: Science, Technology, Engineer, Mathematics. Science: the project or product must be able to present science. Technology: the project or product contains elements of good technology in the use of equipment and materials. Engineer: student design and arrange procedures. Mathematics: student use quantitative data, or when students use rulers or use scales already contain mathematical elements. The difference of PBL and PGBL. PGBL uses projects or activities as a learning medium, whereas PBL usually starts by observing real problems. Contextual teaching learning. Contextual teaching learning, or CTL, is a learning model that relates subject matter to students' daily lives. This learning model aims to help students understand the subject matter better and more easily. In CTL, teachers will choose contexts or situations that are relevant to students' life as learning media. For example, teaching profit selling price and purchase price, the teacher provides concepts about the understanding of profit, selling price, and purchase price. Read the description of the selling price and the purchase price. Students are asked to find information about selling price and purchase price in traditional markets or modern markets around the school. Students are asked to record their observation in tabular form.
Okay, the next is pedagogy. Pedagogical approach in K-12. What is pedagogy? It is the heart of teaching. It is the rules and principles to guide effective and efficient activities which learn to learning, according to Pritchard and Woolard 2010. What are the 5 pedagogical approaches in teaching? 5 pedagogical approaches in the K-12 curriculum: constructive, inquiry-based, reflective, collaborative, integrative. Pedagogical approaches are often placed of the spectrum from teacher-centered to learner-centered. In the teacher-centered pedagogy, teachers are at the center of the learning process and typically of methods such as world-class learning process and typically rely on methods such as world-class lecture, rule memorization, and curious answer. And learner-centered pedagogy, on the other hand, draw on learning theory suggestion that learners should play an active role in the learning process to the student. Okay, the next is 5 pedagogical approach in teaching. 5 pedagogical approach in the K-12 curriculum. Number 1 is constructivist. Number 2 is inquiry-based. Number 3, reflective. Number 4, collaborative. And number 5, integrative. Number 4 is constructive approach. This approach is based on the central notion that learners construct their own understanding of the world around them based on experience as they live and grow. They select and transform information from past and current knowledge and experience into new personal knowledge and understanding. There are signs to construction is the process of learning. Teachers have a big role like to influence or create motivation condition for students and create the process of learning, not the produce of learning. And the number 2, there are inquiry-based approach. The inquiry-based approach is an important pedagogical approach in teaching session. The inquiry-based approach is a form of active learning that starts by posing question, problem, or scenario rather than simply presenting established facts or portraying and a smooth path to knowledge. The process is often assisted by a facilitator. Inquirers will identify and research issue and question to develop their knowledge or solution. Inquiry-based learning includes problem-based learning and is generally used in small-scale investigation and project, as well as research. There are strategies for inquiry-based approach. There are simulation, demonstration, experiment, field study, and project work. And the next, number 3, reflective approach. The reflective approach, the reflective teaching learning approach means looking at what the teacher and learner do in the classroom, thinking about why they do it, and analyze about it if it's work. This is a process of self-evaluation and self-observation. There are 2 suggestion strategies and suggestion form of assessment. The suggestion strategies, there are self-evaluation, self-reflection. In the suggestion form of assessment, there are diary, presentation, paper, writing reports, and journals. Okay, the next 4, collaborative approach. Collaborative learning is a situation in which 2 or more people learn of attempts to learn something together. Collaborative learning is an educational approach to teach and learning that involves group of learners work together to solve a problem, complete a task, or create a produce. In either to achieve a classroom where a collaborative learning approach works, teacher must fully understand learners' preferred learning style and view of learning. Classroom teachers might conduct group activities such as the following: online collaborative learning, and think, pair, share, and peer teaching. Okay, the last 5, integrative approach. In the integrative approach provides learners with a learning environment that help them make connections of other learning across the curricula. There are specifically integrating science with reading comprehension and writing lesson has been shown to improve student understanding of both science and English language arts. There are 4 objectives in integration pedagogy: making sense of the learning process, different methods by relevance, applying the learning to practical situation, and associating the learner elements.
Curriculum Merdeka genre-based approach is teaching language based on the result of genre production, the study of how language is used within a particular setting, and is concerned with the form of language use relation to meaning. Genre-based approach has 4 stages. The first is building the context or knowledge of the field. Number 2, modeling and deconstructing the text. Number 3, joint construction of text. And number 4, independent construction of text. The first is building the context or knowledge of the field. Building the context or knowledge of the field aims to build students' background knowledge about the topic they are going to write in terms of content and vocabulary. In this stage, the teacher identifies what the field is, what part of the field that will be explored, the students' understanding about it, what experiences and activities will be part of the exploration, and how the information from the activities will be recorded and organized. Well, since the aim of the stage is to build students' background knowledge of the context, it is important for students to master vocabulary related to the context. In this stage, the teacher needs to guide the students to master the vocabulary. Fizz and Joy stated that in this stage, students are introduced to the social context of an authentic model of the text type being studied, and then explore features of the general cultural context in which the text type is used and the social purposes the text type achieves. And also explore the immediate context of the situation by investigating the register of a model text which has been selected on the basis of the course objectives and learner need. And how to do that? The students are given some text related to the topic, and then they will be given some question related to the text. And then identify unfamiliar words or phrases in text. Next, Students are asked to retell the text they have read, answer the question related to the text, conduct a question and answer session. And the teachers ask explicit questions that the answer could not be found in the text. Number 2, modeling and deconstructing the text. The modeling and the construction of the text stage involves analysis and discussions about how and why the text presented in the previous stages are organized to make meaning. Deconstruction allows students to analyze the representatives of a text, its generic structures and linguistic features. And how to do that? The first, explaining the genre or text type, including the social purpose, social function, and social context. Number 2, teachers and students identify the generic structure and linguistic features of the text. Number 3, students are given text with some grammar errors and they are asked to identify the errors and correct the mistakes. And last, teachers invite the students to discuss and deconstruct each sentence and discuss the use of the grammar. Number 3, joint construction of text. In this stage, the teacher's role is to provide a chance for the students to practice writing in groups and apply their critical thinking skills in working in groups. Meanwhile, the students are to jointly construct a new text while being guided by the teacher. In this stage, students begin to contribute to the construction of whole examples of the text type, and the teacher gradually reduces the contribution to text construction as the students move closer to being able to control the text type independently. For example, the students are divided into groups and are asked to write a text about the topic in the form of text types that have been studied. And then teachers observe the class, ask some question related to their progress. Each group should consult their draft to the teacher several times and teachers give feedback. The other group are asked to respond by giving comments on the other group's work. And the last, independent construction of text. Through independent construction, students are given a chance to individually practice the production skills they have acquired from the previous stages. In writing, students construct a new text of the same genre in several sessions to give them opportunities to revise their own draft. Well, although it is called as individual, teachers still need to assist students in writing.
Post-pandemic era. The aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic is over, and the world is returning to normal. This period will bring changes in various aspects of life, such as learning, work, communication, and technology. Various online education formats gained much traction during this period, and multiple experiments came to limelight as COVID-19 silver lining. Buskurt and Sharma 2020 reported emergency remote teaching during this global crisis as a temporary solution, which is different from online distance education. Institutions worldwide adopted e-learning strategies with various formats such as blended learning and hybrid learning. Blended learning is a mix of traditional face-to-face learning with technology-enabled learning. Some curriculum content being covered online frees up the time of teachers and learners for fruitful discussion, group-based activities, and personalized learning. The majority of blended learning programs resemble one of four models: rotation, flex, a la carte, and enriched virtual. The rotation occurs or subject in which students rotate on a fixed schedule or at the teacher's discretion between learning modalities, at least one of which is online learning. The rotation model includes 4 submodels: station rotation, lab rotation, flipped classroom, and individual rotation. A la carte model, a course that a student takes entirely online to accompany other experiences that the student is having at a brick-and-mortar school or learning center. Enriched virtual model, a course or subject in which students have recorded face-to-face learning sessions with their teacher off record and then are free to complete their remaining coursework remote from the face-to-face teacher. Hybrid learning, a learning system that combines various approaches to learning, namely face-to-face learning, computer-based learning, and online-based learning with internet media or mobile learning. Hybrid learning allows students to learn anywhere and anytime. Miyazu 2022 reported a hybrid flexible instructional design at the Tokyo University of Science, Shinjuku, Japan, where face-to-face learning is simultaneously blended with online learning. In this model, the learners can choose between the two depending upon their location or other determinants like attendance. HyFlex courses differ from blended or hybrid courses in terms of allowing the learners to attend in person or online.
That's all our presentation today. Thank you very much for listening our materials, and we are sorry if we have mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.